This week, I would like to introduce you guys to the one and only Canadian engineer, Mr. Winton Dahlstrom. And Winton came down to El Salvador on one of our relocation tours in February. And I want him to share a little bit about his story and about why he chose El Salvador and the amazing things he's looking to create in the country, because he is the perfect example of the vibe and the type of people that are moving in to SV right now. So first, Winton, could you share with everybody a little bit about your background, some of the amazing skills and experiences you've had? Why El Salvador wants you?
Okay, well, my background is I've been doing engineering for 40 plus years. And I was trained as a mechanical engineer back in the 60s, 70s. And I've been working successfully as a manufacturing engineer, factory builder. That's what I did for all of my career. The easiest parts of factory building are the walls and the roof. It's the stuff that's inside that's fun. Mm-hmm. And that's where my
pieces.
All bits and pieces and how they work at a thousandth of a second, and so it was a lot of fun. But I retired, and my wife passed away 7 years ago, and I'm trying to climb out of a shell and see what positive turns I can provide for myself, starting with getting rid of winter. And because age is having its effect, and I can't handle winters like I used to, and so I want to go someplace where winter doesn't exist, and so that's my first goal, and that was my goal last February. I just needed to I needed to go into a special treatment, and that was the sun and the breezes in El Salvador. But now, and as I mentioned to you at that time, if I come back a second time, I'll come back with an agenda. And I'm realizing from what I've read and I've seen about El Salvador is that in many, many ways, I regard myself as a hand-in-glove fit to the aspirations of El Salvador. I have needs and El Salvador has needs, and they fit together really well. I need to share my experience as a manufacturing engineer, many, many decades, with people who need to know what it's all about and how to go about doing it. Something that I don't think can be provided in classrooms very well. And so I look at El Salvador as a place for me to sharpen my head by doing guest lecturing, consulting, mentoring, that sort of thing, never with a view toward having an income, but just as a contribution to the country. And so I feel it's good for me to come back to El Salvador and check it out. And if things work out, I may buy some land, I may build a duplex or get involved some way. But right now, I guess we discussed this before, I need to be birthed. And that's where Jenn and her husband, that living like a local, do such a good job. They know how helpless I am when I step off the plane. And they fill in all those gaps. And
well, I have birthed 7 children and 7 lives, and so I have a lot of experience when it comes to birthing at least new lives, even in new countries.
Right.
And yeah, it's crazy because I never knew that was going to be my career path, but you have to say you go with what you're good at. And like you, who the processes, engineering, you're passionate about putting those puzzle pieces together that inside of a factory. Because when you're talking about something that you're good at and that you love, it's passion, it's not stress. You're giving out of that joy.
Right. And they're receiving the joy. The kids, and me included, when I was in university, if there was ever anybody that came out of the field to talk to us, to give us a guest lecture or anything, I was really, really intrigued, because I knew there was so much truth and experience being mentioned. Whereas all the theory in the classroom, okay, that's like collecting mechanics tools. You come out of there with a whole bunch of tools, but the tools by themselves don't do anything. You start applying it against a need, and you start team building, and you start training and mentoring and doing these sorts of things.
So on that note, about the experience and how El Salvador is kind of giving you what you need, and you have lots to give El Salvador for what it needs. What were some of the culture shocks when you first came down for your relocation tour back in February that you would recommend other people be aware of? Because there's lots of hype out there in the internet. But a big thing we try and do with our relocation tours in particular is say, okay, but here's the culture shocks that you have to be aware of before you can make that big decision.
Well, I didn't really have any shocks. I didn't have any realizations about what was going on, but nonetheless, it did help to see what it looked like, and I did see it, for better or for worse. I saw some great beauty, some very good sophistication, and I saw tragedy, and so I thought, okay, what do I expect from a war-torn country that's been inundated with gangsterism for so many years? And now all of that's stopped, and people are now able to live a secure and happy life. There wasn't any shock. I just had a question for you guys, and that is, can you prove to me that that El Salvadorians are not in a social honeymoon as a result of the cleanup and the discontinuance of such violence? And your husband's and ours answer to me was, we're now talking about infrastructure. Everybody's really happy that they don't need armed guards to take kids to school and stuff like that. So that's a hint that it's going in the right way. It's maturing. The society is saying, okay, time to start rebuilding. It's worth rebuilding for the first time in over 30 years, because rebuilding in any time during the 30 years is not worth doing.
Yeah, and the reconstruction, well, change in any country takes a long time. Just for resources and with El Salvador, there's been a lot of physical changes. It's like, as far as just from when you come down again, it will only have been about maybe 10 months since you'd come down the last time, but you will be shocked at all the changes that have just happened in the time that you've been away. Because I've lived there for over 4 years, and literally, typically the change that I would see in the US over like a good 3-year time span is happening in like 6 months in El Salvador. I mean, right. I'll take clients down to the Histórico Centro, down to the center, and I'm just like, wait a minute, I just recorded a video here like 6 months ago, and it looks totally different, and it's completely upgraded. So, I mean, the external changes are happening incredibly fast. And so that's different. I've seen from most other countries. I feel like when you go out through a war, or you go through a really hard time in a country, or even changing out a president, those physical changes usually take a lot longer than El Salvador. Like their change in mentality is probably the biggest, most massive shift. And that's the great thing is, at your stage of the game, it's like you've grown, you have a massive wealth of wisdom, not just knowledge, but wisdom. And you've grown plenty. And now it's really just that perfect time in life to just give. And I personally, my personal preference, I would rather give than grow. If I have one or the other, I'd rather give than grow, because usually growing can be quite painful. But
especially when you look at the way scale. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like growing which way. So yeah. But yeah, that's what I love about the vibe of El Salvador. It's definitely have kind of a libertarian kind of vibe of, we're going to try new things. We're going to try them our ways. We're going to break out of the matrix a little bit and try out these new ideas, open to new tech, open to new even business models, open to trying new things, not just for you though. It doesn't have the toxic individualism that the North has. In El Salvador, it's definitely much more of, no, we're doing this, and it's not just about me. It's about raising the whole country. It's about me raising my community, raising my neighbors, and raising even a big part of Salvadoran culture is family. Because a lot of the older generation of Salvadorans, some of them can't even read and write. And some people are saying, well, we've got to teach these guys to read and write. I'm like, no. I'm like, no, this is El Salvador. Like, if we train and help the youth become their best, the youth will take care. They will take care of their parents and their family. And because I'm like, you can't jump from third to first world by taking older people and trying to, make them tech stars. We need to, thankfully, Salvadoran culture values family so much that in training and helping the youth to rise up and live their potential, they will take care of the older generations. That's at least what I've seen. And what truly gives me hope for this transformation is that no one's going to be left behind, but it's not because the government doesn't leave them behind. It's because the family culture won't leave them behind. and that's what I love, because that is the vibe of El Salvador right now, is like, let's transform together. Let's, like, everybody, there's a phrase I use in my social media called dar lo mejor para El Salvador, or give your best for El Salvador. It's just like, what can every person individually give their best to raise up the whole country?
Well, I hope, what will bring me the greatest joy and the greatest fulfillment is bringing a production plant to El Salvador that has the world's most efficient solar-powered car. It doesn't even need to be connected to the grid. And it's very much in keeping with the whole philosophy of the country, conserve, but don't, have to starve yourself, just do things properly. And so I hope to bring Aptera to El Salvador. I would like to introduce that car to everybody who has an interest in that car, and perhaps even start talking about building a branch plant, assembly plant, especially as of late because of the tariff problem.
Yeah.
We don't know what's going to happen with tariffs, and Bukele seems to be the darling of Trump.
Yes, we are the favorite little brother of the United States.
That's right.
Yes, we are.
Right.
And nearshoring, if you look at nearshoring, everybody's looking at us to do their nearshoring, since we do have that favorite little brother status.
Yeah. So I think it would be a feather in my cap to have a hand in introducing Aptera to the Salvadorian Department of Commerce or whatever, transport or whoever.
Oh, don't worry, we'll set you up. We'll set you up with the right meetings.
Oh yeah. Well, I have every confidence in the world that that's what's going to happen, and also if I plan to buy property and build a duplex, that becomes another engineering project that the kids can watch and see what happens there, right? And if you want a wind farm, I can put in a wind farm for you, and again, show the kids, I say kids, I mean the young students, engineering students, what it's like in the real world to put up wind turbines. And not that you necessarily need them. I think we'll probably go to geothermal first.
Yeah.
It's not there for you.
Yeah, well, thankfully, El Salvador has a very diverse energy production grid. I don't think they get more than 40% of their energy from any one source. So,
yeah.
So for you, I want, if you could share a little bit about, like, what makes you most excited in about, I guess, 4 months, or no, yeah, in about 4 months, we're going to have everything ready for you to come down. You're going to come down, and we're going to help you get settled in, help you start having your meetings and your connections. And what are you most looking forward to? And when you come down, and what, as a hosting company, what is the thing that you are most looking for us to provide?
Well, the mundane things are taken care of. I don't know where the nearest laundromat is. All those mundane living things are taken care of. And so I don't have to spend time hunting and figuring out how all that works. That's the first service that you can provide, right?
Well, that's Carlos. That's where you get your own personal Carlos, and he takes care of all of that.
That's right. That's right. And so that's an important service, and it's a critical must-have service for me, because I don't want to spend my resources doing that type of redevelopment. I was born many, many years ago, and I've done a lot here in North America, but in the first week or so, I'll probably just veg out, soaking up the sun.
And having Carlos on speed dial saying, "Hey, Carlos, can you take care of this? Can you take care of this? Can you take care of this?"
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And then we'll have maybe get our heads together. We may have some meetings. You may pull in some interested people that want to meet me and talk about the future of green cars and everything else, And that would be the great place to start. And I would like to include Katja, my housemate, who is just now pivoting. She's just now turning and getting into a forward-looking perspective. And she wants very much to come to El Salvador. And I think she'll be very successful. But I plan to help her and, help her get started. She'll have a much longer period in El Salvador than I will, because she's so much younger. She's younger than my own son. So anyway, it's coming together in my mind more and more and more. And there's always a fit for living like a local, what you guys do best. And it's great to have you. And I'm glad that I had you last winter, because you turned something that was impossible to possible. And it worked out really quite well. And so I'm a lot more comfortable with coming to the country and seeing a razor wire, seeing the destruction and the degradation in so many places. And also, you've got some incredibly beautiful spots too, and that can be the future everywhere.
Yep.
And it'll take at least a generation, if not more, to do that. And I won't necessarily be around to see it at its conclusion, but it'll be sure fun getting there, and that'll keep me alive. That'll sustain me, and more importantly, it will fulfill me. And doing that, and I'll have a lot of fun doing it. It's just a joy.
That's awesome. That's awesome, and that's why I'm so excited for what you're coming down to contribute to El Salvador, because your vibe of empowerment and of giving and raising the next generation, raising the whole country, that is exactly what El Salvador is looking for.
Yeah.
And we're happy to have you, Winton.
I'm happy to be birthed by you.
Thanks.
So
you can call me Gringa Mama.
Yeah.
Gringa Mama.
Yeah.
The midwife mom, the Gringa midwife.
Yeah. And I have wind power, I have automotive technology, I have building technology, I have converting, making packaging, technology, and because there's wherever you go, there's need for packaging, one sort or another, and it doesn't matter. I never did the same project twice in my whole career, so there was nothing routine about my career, and that's what I'm going to tell the kids. You want variety? Go for manufacturing engineering. You'll have variety.
Yep.
You'll be all over the place,
Yep.
doing everything. Something that you thrive on, do that. Otherwise, go and find a desk somewhere and sit behind a computer.
Yeah. There we go. And which most people really, you only can do that for so long.
Right.
You only
I
can do
did
that
it for longer than I should have. And now I go to my computer once or twice a week.
Wow. Nice. Well, thank you so much for coming on. And we are Living Like Local. We are super excited and already starting to prepare stuff or get things all lined up for you to come down in a couple of months. And if anyone out there watching this video is thinking about what possibilities El Salvador might have for you and what things you could give to help in this transformation of El Salvador, check out the link below. Contact us at Living Like a Local. And we'll put our heads together and we'll host you. We'll show you around. We'll help you brainstorm, just like we did with Winton, and see what possibilities lie ahead for all of us. I am Jenny Addy, shining my light so you can shine yours. And we'll see you guys next week. Bye. Thanks, Winton.
Bye.